Hello, mate. This is Lady Luz Sanchez making a visual reporting about the negative global flows and processes. Negative globalization, unchecked, unsupplemented, and uncompensated for by a positive counterpart which is still a distant prospect at best, though according to some prognosis already a forlorn chance. Dangerous imports. Thoroughly softened smooth whole grain white bread, guarguam in India, calcium propionate in Netherlands, honey from China, Vietnam, Brazil, Uruguay, India, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, flour enrichments from China, beta carotene from Switzerland, vitamin D3 from China, wheat gluten from France, Poland, Russia, Netherlands, Australia. Others are American companies have exported pharmaceuticals that have been banned in the United States to other countries. So the Swiss company Nestle has been found guilty of aggressively exporting baby formula to the South, especially in Africa, even though it has adverse effects on infants. So among other things, the water needed to mix the formula can often be contaminated and the formula is designed to replace nutritious breast milk. Borderless disease. So we have three borderless disease. These are the HIV or AIDS, Ebola virus, tropical diseases in Europe. So HIV or AIDS spreads in various ways. For example, is the blood transfusions, but it spreads through a sexual human contact. When those with HIV or AIDS have unprotected sexual contact with people in other countries, they are likely to transmit it or at least some of them. Ebola virus. Ebola hemorrhagic fever is a viral disease that was first identified in Sudan and Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in 1976. It is not spread by casual contact, but rather through a direct contact with the blood, body fluids, and tissues of those who are infected. Tropical disease in Europe. This is related to another global problem, global warming. One of the consequences of global warming is the increased ability of disease bearing vectors like mosquitoes from hot tropical areas to survive in areas like Europe. The Asian tiger mosquito or the Aedes albopictus is a small black and white mosquito about 1/4 inch long. The name tiger mosquito comes from its white and black color pattern. It has a white stripe running down the center of its head and back with white bands on the legs. So it was found in Italy, Albania, Southern Europe, France, and Switzerland. So, chikungunya virus. By drinking the blood of an infected person and passing it on to those they subsequently bite, the chikungunya virus was found in France in 2010 and Spain in 2015. So, dengue fever. In 2012-2013, there was an outbreak of dengue fever which had not been reported in Europe for several decades in Madeira of the Atlantic coast near Portugal. West Nile virus appeared recently in Bulgaria, Hungary, and Romania. According to WHO, World Health Organization, this is the first case of an epidemic of a tropical disease in a developed European country. Climate change creates conditions that make it easier for this mosquito to survive, and it opens the door to diseases that didn't exist here previously. This is a real issue. Now, today, it is not something a crazy environmentalist is warning about. Common diseases is the malaria, plague, tur- tuberculosis, and syphilis. Malaria is a serious and sometimes fatal disease caused by a parasite that commonly infects a certain type of mosquito which feeds on humans. So people who get malaria are typically very sick with high fevers, shaking chills, and flu-like illness. Plague is an infectious disease caused by Yersinia pestis bacteria, usually found in small mammals and their fleas. The disease is transmitted between animals via their fleas, and as it is a zoonotic bacterium, it can also transmit from animals to humans. Tuberculosis or TB is a disease caused by bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The bacteria usually attack the lungs, but they can also damage other parts of the body. TB spreads through the air when a person with TB of the lungs or throat coughs, sneezes, or talks. Syphilis bacteria is a sexually transmitted infection that causes infected sores, blisters, or ulcers on your genitals or the anus or mouth. It's normally passed on through sex without a condom or by sharing sex toys with someone who has the infection. This is a continuation. Terrorism, one of the most debated forms of negative globalization, defined as action that cause death, serious bodily injuries, and serious damage to public or private property, places, facilities, or other systems, and that are aimed at intimidating citizens, governments, or international organizations. Terrorist group. These are the Al Qaeda, Hezbollah or the militant Shiite group in Lebanon, ISIS, Jewish terrorist group. Al Qaeda is about a local or national conflicts to the degree that they are manifestation of a global struggle. Al Qaeda's strategy of gaining popular support is to attempt to win the hearts and minds while targeting security personnel. Jewish terrorist group or the Irgun brings its grievances to the attention of the global audiences. Hezbollah's involvement in drug trafficking. Hezbollah began doing business with Los Zetas, recently considered one of the most strongest and most brutal Mexican drug cartels, destroying much infrastructure and killing many peoples in Lebanon who have little or nothing to do with the war effort there. ISIS is the Islamic State of Iran and Syria. ISIS is the brutal strategy of targeting mass civilians. So, also favors the use of brutal propaganda like videos of beheadings to recruit the followers. This one. Lebanese Canadian Bank involved money laundering. Characteristic of the new global age that aids today's terrorists. First, global transportation system make it easier for individuals to move around the world in order to plan and carry out terrorist attack. This was abundantly clear in the action and activities of the terrorists both prior to and during the 9/11 attacks. Second is the more porous national borders and the growing inability of nations to control them also make it easier for terrorists to move about relatively freely, although greater vigilance in the United States and elsewhere appear to have warded further serious attacks at least as of this writing. Third is the reaction against globalization have produced and solidified broad political alliances that are ready audiences for the ideas and actions of terrorist groups.